Is your chain loose? I'm talking about your garage door opener chain. A question has come into the Checka Pro radio show studios. Why is my garage door opener chain loose? So I've asked my good friend and super technician in the garage door business to join me, Adam Greer from Easy Lift Garage Doors and More. Hello, Adam.
Hello, how are you doing?
I am living the dream. Thank you so much. So, a lot of garage door openers use a chain. Traditionally, that was pretty much what drove that machine up and down. Today, there are some other options. So the chain can get loose, like on a bicycle, right? It's probably not supposed to do that. And why would it be loose?
And belt drives can get loose as well. So
Yep.
if you see drooping, whether it be the belt drooping or the chain drooping, that's a problem. What is the problem? A couple of things. One, if you get the box store version opener, they don't do it anymore, but it used to be 50% cable and 50% chain. The cable stretches over time, believe it or not. And so that's one thing you just got to tighten things up. Now everything's 100% chain, so newer ones aren't the same. But there's a shaft in the opener motor that has a sprocket on it that the chain's riding. And as that bearing set wears out, it begins to pull the shaft forward. That's almost always why you have a loose chain. Bearing set fail. And that's simply going up, you look on top of the motor where that gear is, and you'll see all the black metal dust that's all up there. That's almost always the issue. Or it has flat out sheared off a sprocket. That happens too, and so the chain's just really drooping bad. It's not, you hear the motor working, the chain's not moving.
Oh.
When it's leaning forward, the chain will move, even with a busted bearing. But when it's not moving and the thing's, because it busted off, sheared the gear right off the top of the axle.
So if it's pitching forward, you have to replace the entire garage door opener, or can replace that part?
We can replace the gear and sprocket.
Okay.
And that becomes an issue of age. If it's, so some things that cause that to pitch forward, that tension, if somebody, the original saw it over tighten that chain over the years, and it's just tight, there's no give, it's pulling on that thing and it's just grinding. There's a right tension that you're supposed to set those at for operation. So that could be, 2-3 years in, it's broken already. That's what happened there. But if it's 10 years old, 11, 12, it's old. Okay, the bearings, it served its life. When I put a gear and sprocket in a 10-year-old opener, I wouldn't recommend it. I know sometimes budget dictates that, but I would highly recommend you consider newer. If you're inside 5 years, 6 years, I mean, sure, it makes you have plenty of life left on that opener in theory. But like I said, if you're over that 10-year mark, you have an opener that only lasts usually 15 years anyway. I don't think I would spend the couple $100 to part in labor on that. So it just, the situation dictates if we fix it or replace it. And the belt, like I said earlier, can do the same thing. It's not usually the gear problem though, the bearing set, because the belt there's like a little shock absorber there's a spring when you set it. So it has some give to it. But what happens is that belt, it starts to stretch a little bit and the teeth start to wear and they're breaking off and the belts are dragging. And so usually it's a new belt scenario. Very seldom we have to change a gear out of that. Or somebody didn't set that spring right in the first place. So there is a right way to set all this stuff. But that's really uncommon on a belt drive, but it can happen. Chain drives are notorious.
So which do you prefer, a belt or chain? What do you recommend?
It's 100% based on the situation. Why would you need a belt drive? It's always the question. If you've got a detached garage like you have, I wouldn't waste the money on a belt. Honest, you don't need whisper quiet. Because function, they're both going to last about the same life expectancy. That chain drive is your workhorse, and that's all you need for a garage like that. If you've got a baby living upstairs above the garage, then a belt drive makes sense because you want that whisper. You don't want the baby woken up every time somebody uses the door. So really it's application. What is going on in your house? Some people, detached garage, doesn't matter. They want it just to be silent. Okay, well, we'll come put it in for you, but it's not necessary. It's overkill for a detached garage. Because the workhorse, honestly, in my opinion, is always going to be a chainer. There's no give to a chain, right? The belt has a little stretchy, but it's either one is good. They just have the right application.
Would it be fair to say, regardless of how quiet the belt drive is, if the garage door and rollers are noisy, it doesn't matter?
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's where rollers come in, maybe bearings on the spring bearings. You could spend all kinds of money on an opener that's whisper quiet, but address the door. You've wasted money there too. So
it's like having a $5,000 tube amplifier that's great, but you've got lousy speakers.
Yeah.
Well, it's you have everything's got to be just right to get the value out of it. Adam, as always, thank you so much for being the expert here on Check A Pro Radio.
It's always a pleasure. Thanks for having me.